Hey guys, Michael Hobbs here, and today we're going to break down the side plank endurance test, which is a really important core exercise, but also a really important exercise we use when we're assessing core stability and hip strength and muscle endurance around the lumbo-pelvic region as a return to running requirement. So I have the requirement that I want my runners to be able to hold a side plank with good quality for minimum 90 seconds. It varies about how long people expect it, how long people want you to hold it for. I have a minimum requirement of 90 seconds. And there's a few reasons for that. Firstly, these muscles in here are really important for helping create stability because running is a single-legged sport. So it helps create stability on a single leg. If we don't have adequate oblique strength through here and around our ability to control our lumbo-pelvic region, we have a tendency towards doing this when we run, which we really don't want to do because it's going to overload into the knee, it's going to cause our foot to hyperpronate or roll in, it's going to predispose us to hip pain, foot pain, knee pain, all those sorts of things, and set us up for even disc herniations and that sort of stuff. So we can never work core too much, in my opinion, which is why I set such a high bar for this as a return to running requirement for my guys. So, a few things that we see in the side plank, which we see as common compensations. So when we're setting up to do the side plank, what we want to do is stack the feet on top of each other. Initially, if you're just starting out, it's fine to have the knees bent. However, eventually you need to work to be able to do it with the legs straight, because here, this is a shorter lever, so you're never actually developing the strength to hold yourself on a full leg, which is a much longer lever. So you're only getting half the effect here, and it's the same if you're doing push-ups on your knees and all those sorts of things. Eventually you need to be progressing to doing them on your toes. So here, feet nicely stacked on top of one another, hips stacked on top of one another, push away from the floor with your arm, and then you're going to lift your hips into the air. And you've got to keep this nice and high. And you're just holding this for 90 seconds and making sure that you stay nice and high here. A few common compensations that we see is people either dump into the shoulder, so they lose shoulder support, or they drop their hips. That's a really common one. So you've got to make sure you keep these nice and high, or they rotate either away or towards the floor. We don't want you rotating, we want your hips to stay nicely stacked on top of one another here, so that this bone and this bone are in line, and that this stays nice and high here. And then you're just holding for 90 seconds. Be honest with yourself, quality is more important than quantity, and so if you do feel that you're beginning to compensate, rest, come back, and work on it later at another time, once you've recovered a little bit. It's all about quality, not quantity, because if you're not doing it with nice good quality, then you're not really getting the ideal effect from the exercise. If it's too hard on your toes, as I said, you can regress it or make it easier by just doing it on your knees. But eventually you want to be able to do it on your toes. And then once you're able to do it on your toes, we can make it a strength exercise and actually incorporate it into your strength and conditioning work by then even adding hip flexion on the top leg. Which again just adds another dimension of challenge, but is replicating the action of running. And what a lot of people will want to do is this. So this is the stability leg or the stance leg in running, if we're to be standing up. So you want to keep this nice and high and then lift this leg through. And now all of a sudden, you're not only going to be feeling it in your obliques, you're also going to be feeling it inside of the hip here through your hip abductors, so things like gluteus medius, gluteus minimus. So give that a go. Let me know if you have any questions.